Hello, coming at you live from my couch. Had a few thoughts that I kind of wanted to share, though admittedly yesterday would have been better, but I wasn't really in a state to do a video or whatever about it. So I have a love-hate relationship. Not even a love-hate. I have a interesting relationship with technology right now, and I've been actually really doing well by cutting back on my screen time. So I'm going to make this as short as I can. I'm really just wanting to express my feelings with regards to frustrations I have navigating social stuff. Here I am, 37 years old. I have a college degree. I was married once. I've had many relationships, family, friends, partners. You know what I mean? I've lived life. I've worked in healthcare as caregivers. I've worked with people who are blind, deaf, Alzheimer, people with Alzheimer's, dementia, people with cerebral palsy, mental health conditions, you name it. So I've worked in retail, though briefly, waitress, only briefly. Neither of those things were really my thing, but it was fun to try them. And I've done mostly housekeeping or caregiving, though I have no interest in doing caregiving again, even if I technically could, if I ever had to. Housekeeping's kind of just been the thing that I've done. And then my small biz, of course, which in some ways I'm wanting to grow it, but navigating how to go about it is interesting. I've tried to put myself out there a little more, but again, being a neurodivergent person, and trying to take care of my nervous system and working 4 days a week at a different job, it's not particularly easy for me to find time to navigate that. So I made myself available for the first Wednesday of every month at a local salon. I don't know if that's going to be an ongoing thing. I actually haven't got anyone that's booked me. I've had a lot of traffic, looking at my websites and stuff. I've had some people like my page. So there's that. I volunteered at the Common Ground Fair, and I at the Reiki tent, offering Reiki to fairgoers for a few hours, and that was lovely. That's something I like to do every year. But anyway, rambling a bit, as I am prone to do from time to time. So the thing that was bothering me, and I'm just wondering how to go about this, because I don't want to say anything that doesn't need to be said. Just say too much, so to speak. If I do put this on not Instagram, but if I put this online to share about my experiences or what I'm processing personally, I don't want to share things that I don't need to share or have it come across the wrong way if I did. You know what I mean? Especially if something has to do with people I know, you know what I mean? Especially if it's not, you know what I mean? It's not I necessarily have a problem with somebody just because something's coming up with me as a neurodivergent person trying to basically navigate getting to know new people who aren't neurodivergent. It's tough. I feel anyone with ADHD, ADD, anxiety. Well, I don't know if I would even lump anxiety in with it. Not really. But autism, Tourette's, all of these conditions are they make a person's brain. They affect the brain's development and our functioning and this and that. And I think trauma has a big role that it likely plays in the development of some of these conditions. Some things are genetic. Some things are in the blood. It's biological. I think certain things are hey, was a trauma, emotional or otherwise, experienced while you were in your mother's womb. And also I think trauma can be passed on through the blood as generational trauma. So yeah. That word. that topic, trauma, right? It's not a fun one, is it? But it's real. It's a thing we grapple with, right? I'm also wondering how to go about this. Let's see. So I guess the first thing I should say, because maybe I can say what I need to say without necessarily getting specific about anything or anyone, because again, I'm experiencing some stuff that's like some circumstances that are just stirring up old feelings or old wounds I have from experiencing like rejection of some kind or teasing, misunderstanding socially. I must have encountered this a time or two in my past because I've always tended to be like reluctant to open up very much. I've always just been this way, and that's the thing is like I have, to the people that know me and to the people that I'm comfortable around, and when I'm not at work or when I'm out in nature doing something I love, I'm like this bubbly-ish I don't know, I'm such a happy, free-spirited lovey, enthusiastic person. Like I have a lot of enthusiasm and excitement and passion, and I'm generally like in a good mood when I'm like around people that I care about or good people and doing what I enjoy. And so for people that might see me outside of work, they're probably like, I am half expecting some people that I've been hanging out with outside of work a little more that are coworkers, like that they're gonna be like, you really are a totally different person when you're not at work. And I'd be like, well, that's because there's a lot to do and that's not fun. That's friggin' sucks right there. And then to have to do things like, you're not, technically even at work, you're free to leave if you want. Just like go home early or go home sick or quit. We have that freedom, but you know what I mean? Like as far as like, well, if you want to get paid and to keep your job, you got to do it. I don't know why adulting is so much, I feel like it's harder than, I don't know. I feel like well, that's because I do. People that are neurodivergent, we feel things a lot more strongly. We're more sensitive, and so we do struggle with things. I mean, to be fair, I think most people struggle with the things with some of the things I'm talking about. Having to work, things being stressful, adulting being tough. Like these are common things. But when you're neurodivergent, it's I think it heightens it. And our sensitivity, it just makes things like a little more like sharp or more raw, or we feel it maybe more intensely, or our ability to like deal and regulate with that as it's happening is sometimes less. And so we sometimes get overwhelmed and what have you, and that's how that goes. Yeah, I just feel like there's a stigma. I feel like there's a lack of awareness and being informed about neurodivergence, and how people who are like autistic, how they socialize, and how people can be aware of these things so that maybe they can understand one another better and avoid miscommunications, or try to like avoid things feeling one-sided or awkward, or I feel like if I wasn't neurodivergent, I would like to think, I can't say for sure, because if I hadn't lived the life I've lived as neurodivergent, I can't say with certainty that I would be a person who would be compassionate about that stuff, but I would like to think that I would be. That's like the heart I have. That if I could, I would want to know about these things so that I could be at least aware And maybe if I see someone kind of having a harder time or just knowing about that, I might be like, hey, how are you today? Or just, you know what I mean? If something's more difficult or doesn't come easily to someone, like small talk, for instance, this is actually one of the highlights I wanted to discuss. People who are on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, to engage with someone new and get to know them and ask the questions of one another. You know, you ask something, they repeat, and you kind of get to know each other but you're not really sure where it's going to go because you're still getting to know each other. So it's all new and kind of uncomfortable. And then just knowing what to say and what to ask and then, like going about that in a smooth manner. That's not easy for someone who's autistic. And it's funny because I feel like I've done that sort of thing rarely in like an organic setting or in an organic way. Like if it was like, okay, you two in like a class or like a group therapy or some sort of scenario where you're like having some kind of class where it's like you guys go break up in teams and like learn about each other. Like those are instances where you kind of have to. But other than that, it's like, I guess I'm not trying to skirt around the issue, but I'm trying to be tactful and like not say more than I need to. I've just been realizing lately that when I watch other people who are open socially and who seem to be maybe like securely attached, and in very seemingly easily able to connect with others and open up and socialize, I admire that. And I'm kind of like, wow, how do they do that? Because I don't function that way easily. I can chime in. I'm intelligent. I'm kind. I can be funny. I'm creative. I've got a lot I could say about a lot of things, but it's funny because I'm more apt socially to not speak up with colleagues at work or in a social situation where there's a lot of people, if I don't have to, because it doesn't come easily and it's not fun and it's uncomfortable. And I just wish people understood that. And I think it's something that's really not spoken about enough. At some point with my videos, I can't wait to get like a proper camera, like a tripod for it and a mic, and maybe even get myself like some sort of a backdrop that I can just do videos with so that I'm not like showing. I mean, that's a painting I did September or October. It's kind of neat. I'm not sure why I did blue, like half a circle and then stopped. I was kind of just putting colors that felt good in a way that felt nice, and I wasn't really too overly preoccupied with it. I had an idea that I kind of wanted to do like a circle, like almost with like ripples, but I didn't know where I was going with that. So, but anyway, and then that's a painting a friend of mine did, like an acquaintance friend painted, and then she had to weed out stuff because she moved, and she gave me that, and I just love it. I ended up writing a short story. I haven't completed the story, but I wrote a story based on the painting, what it inspired in me. It's pretty good, and some parts of it are pretty good. I just am new to that and got a little stuck. So someday I'd like to maybe finish it, or even just share what I've gotten and been like, if anyone has tips or recommendations of what they think. You know what I mean? Maybe I should join a writer's group like that. That would be like, here's let's share writing. Do you have any tips? That would probably be best. I do have a Substack, and I could potentially like share it on there and be like, this is what I've got so far. Happy to receive feedback if you like. Not currently in any creative writing groups or writing, workshops, but I'm open to feedback that's helpful, that might help me finish it. But anyway, I'm rambling. Oh, ADHD. I'm like, look, so the paintings. Yes, lovely. So, thing is like, I feel like I honor myself in my heart and how I am when I'm on my own and with my close people, which again, I don't have a huge circle. Like the people that I spend time with, they know me and understand me and get me and respect me and love me for who I am. And so I can be myself. I don't need to worry about masking or I'm just struggling because there's been some in recent months. We've had a lot of new people come to my workplace, and actually, I have again no issue with anybody that's working there. Um, it's that I'm realizing how, I guess, the contrast between the new individuals or newer individuals and myself. Like, again, for a few years while working there, for like, I started in September 2021, and I really didn't start like opening up until like probably 2024, really. And then a lot more this year. I've just been opening up more. I'm growing as a person, and I'm expanding, and I'm no longer willing to isolate myself, and I'm trying to be aware of like, I think the attachment style I have, and I think it depends on the relationship. You might have a relationship with someone and you have a secure attachment with that person, but some people have like an overarching like attachment style that tends to be their go-to. And if it's not a secure attachment, if it's insecure, there's several of them. There's like a list of like the four types. There's the secure, then there's anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and there's one that's called like disorganized. So that might have been four: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And then some might say that there's one that's like called anxious avoidant, and then I think there's just like different people interpret different things differently. Some accounts make it sound, some accounts of the types sound harsher or a little different than others, and so I'm like, which one do I vibe with? Which one seems to be legitimate here, or that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense and that feels right. So anyway, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm wondering, in my mind, I'm wondering, I'm like, am I going to share this video? I don't know. We'll see. If I get the gist I'm wanting to get across out, then maybe. It's just interesting to me. It frustrates me. I guess I did like a little note taking or journaling yesterday about how I felt, and I was just saying, I feel like there's just too many unspoken rules and expectations that people have socially. And I guess that's the world we live in. That's the life I've incarnated into. These are the experiences I'm having. So I'm not trying to say like in a general sense that I'm wanting to like control everything. And if I am trying to control anything or feel comfortable or safe, that's not unusual or abnormal. That's like, if you've got anxiety or insecurity, or if you've been through trauma, then that's not uncommon to kind of be that way. You might be a little bit avoidant or hesitant or shy or have boundaries up if you have been through some more challenging things. The type of trauma I've been through is CPTSD. It's a form of trauma that's it's all interpersonal in relation. It's all relationship in nature, interpersonal in nature. So I experienced a lot of dysfunctional things and emotionally traumatic things in my childhood. And yeah, and I think there was a little bit of emotional neglect, though not an intentional thing. It wasn't like intentional abuse or anything like that. It was just more of like my parents did the best they could with what they had, and I think they were neglected a little bit and they weren't given the love that they needed in the way they needed it, or they weren't necessarily given the nurturing and the tools and the supports that they would have needed to have been, in a position to not pass on some of that. They didn't necessarily know how to deal with a lot of the things that they came up against. And so in some ways I had a better upbringing than some, I guess you could say. I don't ever know how to like say this in such a way. I'm not trying to diminish. I'm not even wanting to really ramble on about this. It's just like, I'm just thinking, I just feel as though there aren't enough people discussing what it feels like to be neurodivergent or navigating social stuff. It feels like we are punished for not being like everyone else. Like we are punished and ostracized directly or indirectly, like outright, or at least like kind of like borderline ostracized, or that's how I feel. It's like we get left out or we're not acknowledged. What was the words I was wanting to use yesterday? I wanted to feel included, like we're kind of left out. I don't know. It's funny because I've like purposely kept myself out in some regards. Like I put myself where I want to be comfort wise, but that's because I am a independent person. I'm introverted, and I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people like that wants to like work really hard to try to make people like me out the gate. Like I'm not somebody who's gonna like put on a face or a mask and like try to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm not that person. I'm authentically me, and like sure, I don't always show it, especially not in public or at like work or whatever. Like I may only show glimpses of it or a little bit here and there. Maybe I'm becoming more like I'm being more of that a little more nowadays, but I just it frustrates me, and sometimes I like get stuck in mid sentence because I'm like, I wish I didn't have to explain this. I wish people just knew. But the reason why I'm making the video is because I don't feel like people know. So I'm going to do my darndest to spit it out. And if this is too disjointed or not an effective expression, then I might try again, or I might just not share this. But that's how I was feeling the other day. Like, I feel like most people go by certain, they have their certain expectations, certain norms, certain things that are what most people do. And of course, everyone's like honest, there's some people that don't give a fuck, and some people that, like, you know what I mean? It's all over the place. But I feel like in certain environments or in certain social ways, there's certain norms or expectations. And if you don't go out of your way to make sure you're fulfilling those, or if you don't like do and like follow that or play the game, so to speak, then you're the odd one out. And in a way, I'm like, I'd rather be the odd one out than feel like I'm performing for others, or like, you know what I mean? I already feel like I have to mask myself to some degree or other, because like if I was just saying everything I thought, or if you know what I mean? Like if I think people would be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think most people mask to some degree, but it's different when you're neurodivergent because there's less of a filter. We're sensitive. I feel like I'm Goldilocks. I'm always too hot or too cold, and something is like bothering me. And when I'm happy though, when I'm inspired, when I'm resting, or when I'm out enjoying the beauty of nature, doing something creative, that's where I shine. That is what I'm here to do. Like that is what it's about. And I just feel like, so little of my true self in some ways I feel is able to like shine through. And that's why what I'm doing currently is not, it pays my bills. It's a means to an end. And in some ways, I think maybe it's where I'm supposed to be for now. As I grow, it's like this job is like training wheels while I figure my shit out, And I think over time, I'm going to work up to doing some of the things I want to do, or hopefully maybe find a life partner to split expenses with, and maybe I can cut back the work that I'm doing and do more of my self-employment stuff. I'd like to get paid to do writing more and do more art stuff. I want to travel. I want to live my life. And I will, to some degree or other. But you know what? All the signs are pointing to like, yeah, that's in the works. So I'm rambling again. Compassion for the self. Okay, this is where we're at. So anyway, I'm frustrated with the fact that it feels like I'm I'm going to stop criticizing myself in my head and just be like, this is where my brain has gone and it is okay. I also am like, I wrote about this. I wrote it all concisely in some notes. It's a shame I can't read those. Like, once I get an actual separate camera from my phone, I could probably read notes off of my phone. It's going to be a lot nicer because it'll free me to be able to do that. Because I don't always want to write something down on paper. Although, as a general rule, writing, like journaling and writing it down on paper is the best for me. I think it's the most effective. So anyway, I just want to send this out. I don't know if this is like a PSA or a notice to let people know, like, hey, there are people that, just FYI, if you meet someone and they seem a little different, or if they tell you they're autistic, or if they tell you that, you know, anything of that sort, just maybe one of two things. Just like, look it up, look into it more so you can understand these people a little better. And if that's too like weird to do, or not even like, you know, it's like, it just feels like we have to do so much more work. Like, if you say something or ask a question of somebody, wanting to get to know them better, but like not really wanting to go about it in like the small talk way, like kind of having a question really bothering you or like burning you up inside and being like, I really want to ask them that. I've been talking to them. Why not? And then you do ask, and then you realize, like, okay, I did say that I did preface to them that it was a personal question, but they still might have been a little like taken aback by it. But you know what I mean? We are very direct. People on the spectrum are very direct. Small talk does not come easy. It's not easy for us to like ask you questions about you. Like, if we think you're a nice enough person to get to know you and to like open up a little bit, and like we show any vague interest at all and just opening up and connecting, know that we're open to you. But it doesn't feel fair to me, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to expect them to know either, if they've never encountered someone who's on the spectrum. And if everything they're doing is working in every other situation, like, why would they feel like they need to change just because you're having a hard time? So that's valid. But also, if everything socially is harder for me, why should I have to bend over backwards and try to clarify and make sure that I'm understood? And like, I can't control the way other people are, and it's not even wanting to control. It's just wanting to be understood and wanting people to know that I, you know, once in a while I might put my foot in my mouth or be a little direct or blunt or blurt something. But usually I'm a very, very self-aware person. I'm very intuitive. Like, I'm not a dummy in any way. It's just that social stuff, because of my anxiety and past like trauma socially, I don't like small talk. That doesn't mean I can't do it. I can. It's just awkward as fuck for me, and I kind of like, I might like ramble. It just is not pleasant. Like, I'd much rather be like, let's talk about what we like, and then once we feel like we know each other a little better, fill in the gaps as you go. Although sometimes, like, I feel like with neurodivergence, we just like make friends with people that have the same interests as us, and then a few years down the road, you're like, I don't really know all these other things about them yet. We need to figure that out. We need to fill in the gaps. So with some of my closest friends, I've been doing that more. You know, when you feel like you have a secure attachment with someone, you want to bridge gaps and increase intimacy and like feel like you can talk about anything and want to know them, and not just talk about fun stuff, and not only just do fun things and you know, it's sometimes it's like, hey, how are you? What's going on? You want to like shoot the shit. Not even shoot. I guess it is shooting the shit, but it's like heart to heart. Like having a girl pal to be like, hey, how are you? I don't know. That's just where I'm at. I don't know if any of this nearly 30-minute chat has made sense. I just wanted to say some sort of like PSA. Like, I just feel like, for one, I know that if I say something and it comes across as like unusual or direct or possibly insensitive or rude, like, it's not even like, I'm not gonna, I would not say anything mean or try to make anyone uncomfortable intentionally, unless somebody's been an asshole to me and like they're just not being considerate of me. Like I'm gonna put a boundary up, or I might get pissed off and say something because I'm only human. But as a general rule, I am one of those people that's like peace. It's funny because like my moral values and my heart's like anti-fighting, anti-war. It's like a pacifist. But I'm actually like I have an Aries midheaven. So I'm kind of like I will kick your ass. I will cut you. My shadow is coming out more in this phase of my life. It's just like this past summer, this fall, I've just been, specifically this fall, I've been doing more getting to know like different aspects of my psyche, and like with the Jungian psychology practice of active imagination, getting to know my inner child. Well, I did connect with my inner child a little bit, my procrastinator, my protector, my inner feminine, my inner masculine, my shadow, my inner child, lots of stuff. So it's been really valuable, and I'm going to keep doing it. It works so well, and I highly recommend it. Yeah, I was able to like make sense of these emotions I was having and like allow them to have a voice, and to like work through stuff, my psyche and my emotion, like what was something I was struggling with. I was able to work through it by talking to like, what is this emotion? Who are you? What, like, it's like it made itself into a person and was like, I'm this, and this is why you're feeling this way, and this is what you can do to remedy it. Like basically I asked what I could do to remedy it. And that shit works, and it's really exciting. So I feel like I've been growing a lot, and that's just been really exciting. But I also feel like it's kind of like soul retrieval. Like the more you integrate this stuff, and the more you touch base with these parts of yourself, and you show them that you care and that you are, willing to work with them and wanting to integrate them, I feel like it's a soul retrieval. Like I feel spirit. I can feel spirit in my hands, like when I call on these aspects of my psyche. It's weird. That's why I think it could very well be a form of soul retrieval. I'm not entirely certain on that, but it makes sense. It makes sense. It kind of like fills in a gap. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't want to ramble too long. I'd like to either do some reading or watch a show and just relax for the evening in a minute, but it's so nice to do these. I can't wait to have a little bit more of a streamlined way of going about it. Like I can't wait to get the camera that I have my eyes on, and the like get a tripod so I can just have the camera be on a tripod, or hold the thing and have it be away from me. And I don't want to hold it if I don't have to though, but a tripod that lets me just have it up so I can just say, hey y'all, what's up? So yeah, please just know that people who are autistic, hypersensitive, or maybe isn't the term I meant to use, but it's true, autistic or highly sensitive person, empaths, people with past trauma, complex trauma, anxious people, like not everybody, I would say explicitly though, the highly sensitive people and the autistic individuals, we don't do well with the, asking random shit about a person. Like we can and we will if we like you and we want to get to know you, but it's just the weirdest thing. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's more that I just feel a little bit like, for a little while some new people were coming to work, I kind of was like, okay, that's cool, they're new, they seem cool, it's whatever. But I kind of keep to myself anyway, for the most part, except for the people that I do chat with, and I have a few people, but I kind of keep to myself, and that's fine. But I've been opening up more naturally, and it's just kind of, I don't know if you know this, but I don't know why you would, unless you'd heard another person that you know that's autistic explain this feeling. It's kind of like literally painful to like observe other people socializing and carrying on and like being buddies, and you know what I mean, like shooting the shit and connecting easily when that's not something I'm capable of doing comfortably, openly, easily. It's kind of painful. It's kind of hard. I feel I've always been like on the outside looking in. And that doesn't mean I haven't made friendships. I've had some amazing, deep, beautiful, wonderful friendships. Some have lasted a long ass time, other ones have faded, and that's fine. I think some relationships are meant to be only for a season. And then some you kind of fade out and then they come back. And so they will be what they will be, and that is what it is. The people I have in my life are just truly beautiful, and I'm really grateful for their presence in my life. But yeah, most, if not all, of my friends are neurodivergent as fuck. Like, we are people who've been through a lot, and we people who are neurodivergent, we flock to each other, we attract one another. And so to come across somebody who is, it's just, it's hard to navigate and to not let it get to me because I still have some wounding. And so this situation, I'm like, you know what, this maybe not be comfortable, and then maybe like hard to like deal with. I think I'm just needing to be patient, give myself grace. Socially I may be a little awkward or seem a little direct, or might unintentionally make someone uncomfortable with like a question or a statement or something once in a while, but I'm never intentionally trying to make someone uncomfortable. It's just that I would it's like, it's so hard. I just like want to like get to the good stuff. Like, I want to know what I want to know, and I want to like talk about what I'm into. And I'm like, if I know they're into pets, then I'm like, let's talk about pets. Do I like I like Halloween and dressing up? Like, let's talk about that. Like, we want to talk about what we're excited about. That's where we shine. That is where I can so maybe I need to like feed into that a little more if I'm wanting to open up and connect more with people that are new, or if I'm wanting to connect more socially in my life, build up my social skills and those getting out of my comfort zone, which is I've been doing a lot lately. I'm really proud of myself. So even if I have one faux pas or one slight awkward situation or happen once every few years, like that's, we're human. Don't we all have little things? And I think I need to give myself a lot more grace and give myself credit, because I am trying and I am growing and I'm doing beautifully. And not everyone's working on themselves. Not everyone's self-aware. Not everyone cares. Some people just they look to see what they can get from other people. And if they can get something from you and they enjoy talking to you, then they'll stay around. But if they don't feel like they can get what they want from you, or if you're you're not with the program, then they may kind of ostracize you. Some people don't give a shit, and I think most of the time people are just operating on the things they've learned that have worked for them. And if they're well-rounded and they're not socially awkward or avoidant, then they might shine more. And I guess that's just been something something I've been noticing or having to grapple with, seeing people around me connecting in with the network of my work, and after I've been there for a few years, and it's I don't plan to be there forever, by the way. It's not my forever job. There's things I really appreciate about it and things that are great about the job, but it's not my forever thing. And so I've never looked at my workplace or the people there as a place I expected to meet a lot of people of like mind. But there are a lot of neurodivergent people there. And recently I joined a hiking group with some coworkers that are doing fun hikes outside of work once a month. And so I'm you know what, that sounds fun. I would like to go hiking with coworkers and see what that's like. One of my best friends is in it, so you know what I mean? Yeah. We're all just where we're at. It's just frustrating to me. I don't want to feel like it's sometimes the natural consequences of okay, you might say something, it was a little awkward, everything's okay, but you feel a little foolish and you want to make sure they know you didn't mean to come across in a weird way, or you didn't mean to like make them uncomfortable, and so you want to check in with them. But at the same time, like when somebody's kind of awkward like that, sometimes you kind of just like, I'm just gonna kind of take some space from that person for a little while, like that's normal. Like if someone did that to me, I would feel the same way. So if someone does that to me, I'm not necessarily being ostracized. It's just triggering the fact that I have been left out and picked on, or I wasn't always understood, and I do have some traumas and shit from my past that are being triggered by this. And sure, I think I know better, like, hey, I don't need to dwell on something if it doesn't go great, but it's hard when it's something like a big theme coming up. Like, I guess I have a lot of healing to do, and a lot of my heart's opening, and I have a lot of awareness coming up about my attachment style, and the fact that people with CPTSD, like how much it's more challenging to navigate, learning healthy boundaries, putting up healthy boundaries, when to have boundaries, and this and that. And so, yeah, I just realized I think I started a YouTube video a little while ago. I was listening to it, and then I think I paused it and never finished watching it. I don't think it was a long one, so I could probably finish her up. I can do what I want on the weekend. So I think I more or less said what I wanted to. Gosh, it's already 40 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. So yeah, if any of you are neurodivergent, if any of you have social anxiety, CPTSD, rejection sensitivity dysmorphia, or I would say hypersensitive, but I meant highly sensitive person. If any of that applies to you and you want to like leave a comment, please do. Feel free. I just don't feel like, I feel like more education needs to be put out there about people who are on the spectrum and what it's like. I guess that's what most people who are on the spectrum, who are like wanting to like know more about it, or if they just found out they're on the spectrum and didn't know until later in life, like me. Like I was 31 when I came to that conclusion. We watch videos, we learn about ourselves. It's just, we shouldn't have to fucking bend over backwards. It just doesn't feel fair. And you know what? Life sometimes isn't fair, but we're capable of dealing with whatever comes our way. It kind of grinds my gears a little, I guess, that I have to put so much work in if I want to make sure like other people like are gonna, you know what I mean? You know what? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna let it be what it is. Yeah, sometimes we get preoccupied with like, I hope this person doesn't think I'm a jerk, or I hope I'm not misunderstood, or it's just, I don't know. Navigating social stuff is so hard. I don't like feeling like I'm the one that's like the odd one out, and most people, several of the people in my sphere, or, are like buddies, or at least carrying on easily and well and warmly and like having a good time. And yet I'm I'm occasionally commented to or complimented or chatted with, but it's kind of like in the, here and there. Lately, I've been opening up and connecting to some of these new people, and it's been good. But like recently, I said something, I asked a question. It was a personal question. I did preface that I think it might have made the person a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't intentional. That being said, I think that they're a nice, kind person, and I have mentioned before that I'm on the spectrum, so I hope that they understand that I wasn't trying to be rude or make them uncomfortable or make them weird around me or anything. But you know what? I'm just gonna do the best I can, because guess what? Sometimes awkward questions can bring awareness. Like, what if what was discussed was helpful for this person to know? I don't know. And you know what? And I'm learning too through this. I'm like, wow, I maybe need to work on, I don't want to say I need to work on small talk, but I mean a little bit. I just wish if I'm willing to work on small talk, then I want other people to know about autism and understand that small talk doesn't come easy for us, so that maybe they can kind of help make it easy. I mean, if they don't know what to say or how to go about it differently than the way that they do, then I guess they wouldn't know what to do differently, right? Unless they read up about it or listened to videos about it. Ask us about what we love. Like, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your passions? You know? What do you love to do in your free time? Like, that's who we are. That's what I feel. I don't know. I don't like talking about surface level bullshit. Like, I don't, and then I'm also not good about navigating. I'm like so kind of uncomfortable with that whole, like, this is the norm. Like, this is the appropriate thing. You're getting to know someone. You don't know them yet. So I guess it's normal to keep it light and easy and like ask basic questions because you don't know each other yet. So that makes sense, right? You don't want to like scare anybody away with anything too deep, but that's the thing, is like we don't have filters, those of us on the spectrum. So for us, it's just not like that. We don't mind. Like, if you don't want to talk about real stuff, deep stuff, or like whatever it is we're into, then like if we have something we can relate to you on, that's great. And just know, if we're trying to open up to you on any level, it's because we think you're nice enough. We're open to doing so, but we want to feel included too, and it is, not everyone is meant to be in our lives though. And when I realize that, like, I'm not expecting, or I'm not even asking to be friends with like anybody at my workplace that's like a colleague necessarily. There are people that I'm enjoying getting to know, like going on the hikes with and stuff, like the hiking group I just went to. Like, a lot of these people I kind of think are cool. So there's a few people that I'm able to talk to at work and that I appreciate. But just because I'm wanting to like feel included a little more, to be seen, to kind of like connect a little more, I don't want these people to think I'm necessarily like, hey, will you be my friend? Or let's go hang out outside of work. I know sometimes that does happen. Like, that's why a lot of people want to connect. But for me, I just want to be like, I'm just not wanting to be on the outside edge anymore. I'm no longer comfortable being on the periphery and isolating myself. And so maybe I just need to mention that to like my new supervisor and be like, I don't know how to like navigate that. And I'll be like, I know you're not my guidance counselor or anything. We don't, like, how do I navigate that? What do you suggest? No, I don't currently have a therapist, or I'm not able to go to see her, because I don't have insurance. So I work through all the stuff that comes up in my life. I work through it on my own. So I think it's all good. So yeah, we've got someone to talk to about these things, whether it's a friend, therapist, do it up, journal, active imagination, great stuff. We're all just where we're at, and that's okay. I just wanted it to be known that people who are on the spectrum, we do not, small talk doesn't come easy. It is something I'm wanting to work on, like getting out of my comfort zone and talking to people more, but it is tough. And I at the very least want to let some of these newer people that I'm working with know, if I have any interest in like chatting with them or getting to know them just as colleagues, that that stuff doesn't come easy for me. So if I'm awkward, I apologize, but I'm trying. So you know what? I'm giving myself a nice big hug, because guess what? It's not a big deal. If you mean well and you didn't hurt anybody, then no harm done. And as long as you're like, hey, if you ever say something and you think it might like weird someone out or make them uncomfortable or offend them, just say, hey, I hope I didn't, and if I did, I'm sorry. I'm going to be more mindful in the future. We're all human, and sometimes people joke with you and you're like, I don't find that funny, or that's kind of offensive to me, and then people are like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, like, things happen. We're all human. Everyone's coming from a different place. So let's just be compassionate and understanding as we can. Maybe that's all you can do. Some of us are struggling more than like, they're not going to show it or necessarily come out and say it. And if anyone does go out of their way to like kind of blurt or tell you maybe more than they should when they're first getting to know you, Don't assume that they're unstable. Know that they're probably a little vulnerable and maybe trying to process something emotionally, and maybe they don't have a lot of people to talk to, but that doesn't mean that they're unstable or that they're weirdos. They may be a little different, but they've probably been through something traumatic or painful, and they're just blurting because they're wanting to connect, or at least connect the dots in their mind and make sense of things and process things. I just watched a video on CPTSD, and it was saying that the reason why people with trauma blurt and kind of say things that maybe they should keep to themselves is because of an underlying desire of wanting to be understood, and there being just an innate need to process what's going on. And so that's often why they think out loud as well. So that doesn't mean they're talking to themselves or that they're crazy. I've been teased over the years because I'm somebody who's talked to myself a lot, and it's not okay. I've thought out loud, spoken aloud. I don't like talk to yourself because that literally does sound like it's like you're having a conversation with yourself. But no, I mean, you can like talk an issue out if you're stressed or worried, like pretend to have a conversation when you're by yourself, whatever. But yeah, people who think out loud and talk through the stuff, whether it's like a math problem, that's where it all started. I struggled with math growing up, and so I'd sometimes like talk myself through the math problem because it was like helping me focus. And so yeah, like if someone thinks out loud, don't necessarily assume that these people are crazy, or it may be a little unusual, but it's really not. Like I think most people actually do think out loud from time to time. You're in the grocery store, you're like, okay, where is that thing I needed? Oh, there it is. Like, and if you spend a lot of time by yourself, it's kind of like a self-soothing thing. So anyway, some of us have been through a lot, and some of us are just quirky individuals. Some it's all of the above. No worries. Just take care of yourself. Love yourself. If you're doing the best you can, we can all learn more, and the more we know, the better we can do. But it's not about perfection. It's just about being authentic, showing up, and being willing to grow and expand, and showing the world who you really are, in a way that feels true for you and comfortable for you. Speak your truth, and share your gifts, and share what it is you have to say and express authentically in a way that makes sense to you. But anyway, I'm closing. I meant to close a few minutes ago, but I'm closing it now because we don't need an hour-long video. But for anyone who logged in to take a listen to this, I hope you found it interesting, insightful. And if you have any comments, share them below. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.